In a world where it's hard to find real, authentic stories, we're here to share the true heart of the trucking industry and the soul of country music. We dive into life on the road and capture the essence of small town America. From the brotherhood of truckers to behind the scenes at NASCAR.
We're the last of the cowboys to giddy up gone boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's a slow and down breed, rolling like Jesse James.
We're going to make storytelling, industry insight, and musical highlights. This is the Road Show with Tony Justice and Friends, brought to you by our friends at Fitzgerald Truck Parts. Y'all come on, let's take a ride. When you're out here on the big road, putting in the miles, you sure don't have time to be waiting on parts, much less overpay for them. Fitzgerald's Truck Parts is your go-to for quality parts and fast service when you don't have time to wait. Knowledgeable people, fair prices, and no BS. So truck it up on over to FitzgeraldTruckParts.com and use code Tony at checkout for 10% off your order. This is just for my listeners. Fitzgerald Truck Parts. They're here to keep you moving forward. Hey everybody, welcome to the Road Show with Tony Justice and Friends. You guys know me, man. I've always believed that the best stories come from behind the wheel, and today's guest, has made it his mission to prove just that. He's a truck driver, just like us, but he is also one of the biggest platforms out there for the trucking community. From the cab of his truck to YouTube to millions of followers. He's telling it like it is and bringing real truckers' voices to the front lines. I'm talking about my buddy Alex Mai, a man better known as the man behind MotherTrucker News. What's happening, man? Good to see you
What's
again.
going on, man? I mean, I was excited when I got an email from you because I've always been a fan. I remember probably about 5 years ago, we did a interview in Georgia. We were at the truck show out there, and I got
Yeah.
a chance to meet you. I've been doing YouTube going on 10 years, but people don't know that I actually drove a truck for North American Van Lines moving furniture because all my uncles are movers for North American Van Lines. And so pretty much as a kid, every summer they would get some free labor. I'd jump in and I'd move some furniture with them. And so it's just one of those things. So a lot of people actually don't know. I get a lot of great emails all the time that says, man, that thank you for your information, but were you even ever a driver? And the truth is, yeah, I actually only stopped driving about 3 years ago.
I mean, that was your inspiration. I mean, just riding around with your uncles, those little summer jobs while you're out of school. I'm sure they were paying you a little bit extra something, getting you some candy money and
Oh yeah, it's funny because my uncle's goal was for me to go to college. He tried to make me hate trucking so much that I wouldn't get into trucking. I mean, if y'all ever notice this, that the people that seem to love it the most, every time someone says, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this," it's almost like that movie from Adam Sandler where he's just like shaking that kid's head and is like, "Do not do this," you know?
yeah. My dad told me and my brothers, straight out, if any of y'all grow up and jump in a truck, I'll kick you right between the right where the sun don't shine. I mean, he said it many, many times, and so he had a 50% success rate with that. Two of my brothers didn't, and then two of us did. So I guess it worked out, decent for him.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. These days it's weird, right? Because it depends on where you're at in your life. But every time I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, they have all these shorts and all these reels now. And I don't know who all these people are putting all these motivational quotes together, but man, some of them they just make a lot of sense to me. And I saw one recently, man, it hit my heart a little hard. Is one where you said, in 100 years nobody will know who you are, and in 100 years, you think about it, how much do you know right now? And for all the listeners out there, think about this: when it comes to your grandparents, do you even know their full name? Do you know anything about them? And I thought about that, and I go, damn, I barely even know what my grandparents' names are, let alone what they did for a living, what their passion was, what their love was, where their heart was, were they a good person, a bad person? So this quote was, 100 years, someone's going to be living in the house that you worked so hard to pay off. That car that you love so much is going to be in a junkyard. That semi truck you love so much is gonna be in a junkyard.
or collector's item at a car show, I mean, or a truck show. I mean,
Exactly. I tell you. So I say this to say, yeah, you do inspire me, brother. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but there's only a couple things that you can do. You can either work on your goals and what you want to do in life, or you can work on someone else's goals and what they want to do in life. And that's pretty much all you got, right? And to see you going for it from truck driving to songwriter to it's a professional singer and now doing podcasting. I mean, this journey that you're on is just incredible. But the reason why you're successful and you'll stay successful, Tony, is because in the world of singing and country singing and all that great stuff. I would say between you and I, you are the master, right? You would have to raise your hand on that one. But when it came to podcasting, you even gave me a call and said, Alex, you have any advice for me? And you're always kind of willing to learn. And so I really accredit you to that. That's what success is if you don't know something, it's okay.
yeah, I always believe, just ask questions. I mean, I would say that to anybody out there today, if you're looking at, get into this, a lot of people want to start, hey, how do I get a podcast started? How do I build my social media up? Get online and meet these people that have done so, ask them questions or find out the places they hang out at, like, you know, maybe it's just at a truck show, and get up with them and ask those questions. I haven't met anybody in this industry that's like yourself or myself that wouldn't take time for somebody and give them some advice or try to help them. I mean, I haven't met anybody in this industry not willing to help other drivers.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say I'm proud that this is a humbling industry. A lot of drivers right now aren't doing that great, and they're holding on. And the ones that are doing really great, you wouldn't even know if they were because they dress like you and I. They're not flashy people. It's just such a wonderful community, and I love even the truck show world of it. These days the truck show world, if you notice the shows that do really great, like the ones that, the one like you throw yourself, it's like it's about just getting friends over and getting trucks over and for a good cause.
No, absolutely. There's so many, truck shows out there in a year's time that does that. I wish there was a way of finding out how much money is raised in a year's time because of just truck shows. Let's not counting, how many of those little paper balloons do we buy when we get fuel, around Christmas time that they hang up on the walls at the Loves and the Pilot, and we make donations as we're paying for our coffee or I mean, we fill those walls up. It's mostly for little kids, Loves is real big on raising money for what is it, Children's Miracle Network. The trucking industry, I've always said is the biggest hearted industry, one of them that I know of, especially when it comes into anything that has to do with helping kids. I think that's because of all the time we miss getting to be with our kids. I think that's I mean, you could have 4 or 5 truck drivers together that can't agree on the price of a cup of free coffee, and would argue about anything, and you bring up, "Hey, there's this little kid over here, man, he's got cancer, and he's wanting some trucks to drive by his house and blow the horn," and hell, let the word get out on that and give it a date and watch how many trucks go by that little boy's house and lay on that horn while he's sitting on the front porch watching them drive by, just completely making his day. And then you can bet they're gonna get pass a bucket around, they go raise some money for him. It's just like that song Teddy Bear, Red Sylvan, they all went and give the little boy a ride and they collected money to give to his mom to help pay the bills and stuff. That's what I love about this industry, man. That's one of the coolest things about the trucking industry.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. It's no, it's interesting. I don't get an opportunity actually to do too many podcasts because I myself usually am just trying to share information to drivers, and a lot of people don't know that I just kind of fell on it. Really, YouTube and all that really came out of I would say it came out of probably depression. I'll be honest with you. You're in a truck. I'm on the side of the road, a steer tire. It's not looking too good waiting for road service that's gonna cost $900, those type of things. It's raining, and at that time, I'm looking at MySpace, you know what I mean, or whatever it is, and just seeing all my friends having a good time, and you're just here on the side of the road, like, what am I doing with my life, right?
500 miles away from home, anybody that you know or family, and your friends back home are at your buddy's birthday party, or they're all at the lake or something. And you're like, what's I thinking?
What yeah, exactly. What was I thinking? And I think that's what happened is my wife, she was kind of like, hey, so my schedule was as a mover, we call each other bed buggers, right? So that's what we call it. So as a bed bugger, I stay on the road 6 to 7 months at a time straight, and then we take winters off. Movers don't like working during the winter. I mean, there are the ones that do, but most just kill it as hard as they can for 6, 7 months, and then they just take the winter off, right? And so, you kind of get sad. You start missing home. Next thing you know, my wife's like, maybe you need to start journaling, Alex. I was like, I could barely read or write. I ain't doing none of that stuff. I mean, every time I try to open up a book, I mean, I fall asleep faster than you know what. That's just not my energy. That's just not what I'm great at. So, she's like, well, why don't you start taking pictures and stuff? So next thing you know, I'm starting to take video picture, look at this place. Hey guys, I'm driving past Vegas. One thing that drivers know that people don't know is they go, man, it must be so great being a driver that you get to stop. You know, you get to see Las Vegas or you get to see a monument on the highway as it's going by, and that's about it.
That's what I tell everybody. I'm like, look, you get to see everything. We get to go everywhere, but we don't get to see anything because we watch it go by. Dallas Stadium. I remember the first time I was with my dad. He took me when I was a kid, and I liked being in the sleeper, man, because that was like my little spaceship when I was a kid. I had those two little side things, the vents I could open up on the sleeper. I could zip that curtain up. It's pitch black, and I pretend like I was flying a spaceship down the road through space. I mean, I was like 8 years old, man, come on. And, then I'd fall asleep. My dad said that he said, "You'll never make no truck driver. All you do is sleep the whole time you're here." But if he was coming by something cool, like we're crossing the Mississippi River, or we're going by the Arch in St. Louis, or I remember Dallas Stadium really standing out in my mind, and then he'd go, "Hey, we're fixing to go past the football stadium," and unzip that curtain, jump in the jump seat, watch it go by. But yeah, those are cool times. But yeah, you get to see all those things, but you don't get to see them go by the
Oh
window.
yeah, that's so funny. I mean, I remember my uncle playing a trick on me, and we're driving, and he's like, "Yeah, you could go sleep if you want." I was like, "I'm gonna get on the top bunk," and he's like, "You sure about that?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, don't do that.
Not a good idea.
That's not a good idea." But no, I mean, this life of trucking, it's one of those things where, yes, right now I am not driving a truck, and the truth is, I do get a lot of comments that say, "Alex, I don't want to hear your information because you're not driving the truck," and I respect it. That's like there are some people in the truck industry so hardcore that they're like, unless you truly feel our pain right now at this moment, I don't want to hear from you, and and I understand it, and I feel for it. You know what I mean? And so that's why when I think about wanting to do podcasts or someone goes, Alex, what's your advice on that? I go, okay, first thing you need to do is if you're a person that it is sensitive to the way people feel about you behind a keyboard, you're gonna cry in a corner with the shower on. Do not do it. And that's real whatever you do. When you put yourself out there are gonna be people that are gonna feel that, hey, they're gonna have opinions. And that's why, yeah, it absolutely is fine. And having a healthy relationship with this is it's you just have to believe in what you're saying, right? You know what happened to me recently, Tony? I made a video and I said, we got to support American truckers first. I lost 500 subscribers. 500 truck drivers unfollowed me because they're like, if you're going to put American truckers first, forget you. And then I even got emails where people were like, where were you born? And I was like, I was born in Hayward, California, I'm like, hey, look, I'm American and I'm proud to be Asian. I like my food. I like where my parents are from. That's cool. But man, I am so proud to be American, and I think people sometimes they get that twisted. And me talking about some of those topics about foreigners and driving a truck, I get so much hate, Tony, when I say if you can't read the sign, you shouldn't be driving a truck. My if my dad can't read a sign, he should not be driving a truck. You know, and same thing if I'm in Mexico or in Asia or wherever, if I'm in at 80,000 pounds of death and whatever that sign, and I can't, and my background, my ethnicity's Vietnamese, I can't read it, right? So can you imagine me with a truck over in Vietnam and it sends something and I don't know what it's saying? Don't put me in a damn truck.
Well, the thing about it is, with the temperature of, politics, man, everything's so crazy. You can't everybody is so easily offended, and you got you got certain people for whatever reason out there. When you say something like that, they think you're being racist, and it's I'm the least racist person in the world, I think, and it's simply about safety.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, though.
If I'm in an accident out here and I'm okay, but there's two or three people in the car, and I didn't, the car's in a situation where maybe first responder has no idea, how unsafe is it that I can't tell that first responder, well, there's 2 kids in the back seat, or have any communication with emergency personnel around? I mean, it's so, so unsafe.
Oh, I agree 100%.
And some people just automatically, "Oh, it's racist," and I'm like, "Come on, man. Think about it for just a second. Use your mind for something besides being that guy. Just think about it for a second. It's easy to see, but hey, listen, we're gonna take a short break. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Guys, hit that subscribe button if you hadn't. Share, leave a comment. We love to read the comments on YouTube, and we try to get back and answer them all. We appreciate you tuning in. We're going to take a short break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back, so don't go away. To all my brothers and sisters of the highway, if you're tired of wrestling with those tangled airlines and your power cord that run from your semi truck and connect to your trailer, then Easy Claw's got you covered. Not only does the Easy Claw system keep your lines and hoses organized, but it also keeps them from dragging and chafing, thus preventing breakdowns, expensive repairs, DOT fines, or even worse, being shut down by our good buddies down there at the Chicken Coop. So let's be less stressed, safer, and compliant, y'all, by checking out my friends at EasyClaw.com. For over 20 years, my buddy Clifton with Crossroads Towing and Truck Repair has proudly served the trucking industry with reliable, family-owned service. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get you moving again, safe and sound. Just call 270-773-4000 and tell them Tony sent you. Hey, everybody. Diesel Pride believes the best way to respect all of us American truckers is to showcase everyday road trucks on their shirts. I love mine. Visit dieselpride.rocks for the best trucker apparel. Tell them I sent you. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Road Show with me and my good buddy Alex Mai with the MotherTrucker News. Man, I appreciate you again for coming on, enjoying the conversation for sure. I had a few questions. We just been kind of going back and forth from the first part and didn't really get to any questions, which I enjoy. And that's what this podcast is. We are not a scripted podcast by any means. I mean, I'll have a few questions written down, but usually whoever's on here, we just start talking, having a good time, and that's why I called it "And Friends" instead of just the Road Show. That's like these are my friends. These are the people I've met over the last 12, 15 years that I've been doing this, and so that's why we needed to call that. So it's really easy to do these podcasts. But anyway, what do you think's the biggest misunderstanding that people have, the people that outside of the trucking industry? What's the biggest misunderstanding you think that they have about truckers and the industry?
I would have to say, like, the biggest one on the outside looking in is they think we're stupid. I mean, you know what I mean? They think truck drivers are not educated. They think, I talked to a couple of my cousins and family, and I said, "Wait, what do you think about truck drivers?" They go, "Well, that's usually a job that you get, if you didn't figure things out in life." And I'll tell you how wrong that is, because truck drivers, now we might be crazy for being in the trucking industry. Okay, I'll give it that one. But as far as that misconception that we're dumb, especially owner operators out there, first off, most people in the United States have never left their county, let alone the city that they live in. And so a truck driver, someone that's willing to drive across America, and the first time, I mean, do you remember the first time, Tony, that you went by yourself in a truck across the states? I mean, your heart's kind of beating, you know?
I was raised in extreme eastern Kentucky and eastern Tennessee, and I remember going into Chicago, and I was scared to I mean, I was scared to death.
It is, I mean, it is removing the fear. Most people wouldn't even do that. So, you know, truck drivers, man, we're fearless, man. That's the first. The second, as an owner operator, you got to wear different hats. You know, how many times have we seen our friends at truck shows? They're in the truck trying to book loads. You know, they got to jump on the phone. Now they got to wear another hat. Now they got to do QuickBooks, do some bookkeeping, and then they got to go on and they got to do customer service now, and then they gotta drive, and then now they're logistics coordinators, you know? And then you gotta deal with so many dumb idiots on the road that you have to be a patient person. I think the biggest thing that people from the outside world don't know about truck drivers is, man, truck drivers are some of the most worldly people you'll know. They have so much information, so much knowledge. I've seen drivers that were doctors, lawyers, I mean, you name it. Right? And so that's a big one right there that I wish the rest of America and the world would know that, hey, drivers, man, there's some smart cookies in this field.
You know, they understand branding, you know, they understand, how to run a business, the importance of, taking care of your clients, you know, of representing their company, whether they're an owner operator or even as a company driver, you know, showing up dressed the part and looking good and, talking, treating the people at the shipper and receivers desk, with respect and not cussing because it took a little long to I mean, there's so many things that you have to be a successful trucker. There's a lot of people, out there that are doing this job just for a living, and they are probably the most miserable people I have ever come across while doing my job, even and it doesn't take long to be around it. And I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I could not imagine driving a truck for a living and doing it just for a job, for a paycheck. I would slip both my wrists probably the second or third day. Cause you know the days I'm talking about. You know that day that comes along that if it would have happened your very first day of trucking, you would have went back, throwed the keys at whoever on the truck, and you'd like, "I'm not doing this." But fortunately, it happened a couple of years down the road after you've been doing this, and you'd realize you're just gonna have these days every now and then, and you just motor through it. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. And so yeah, I mean, people get it wrong, you know. There's a lot of drivers out there that want to be drivers, love what they do, respect what they do. You know, it's not because it's a secondhand job. It's not because it's a job that, you know, no one they couldn't get a job at Walgreens, or nothing wrong with those things. I worked at Walgreens, you know, but like, you know, it's, you know, a warehouse job, pay minimum wage, so they decide to drive a truck. I mean, some of that might be true, but for the most part, there's a lot of people with a lot of pride in this industry. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you were talking about, you know, what drivers do for the kids. You know, people, you know, a lot of tourists going into or traveling across America sometimes don't like stopping at truck stops because they're worried that truck drivers are these weird, strange humans, right? But yet we're able to put together a convoy, raise some money for some kids and some families. I mean, so we're not these monsters that are hiding from the law, you know. And I'm sure there's bad characters and actors in every industry, right? But I feel like that's a big one. I remember like, well, earlier, like late last year, so FBI agent even wrote a book about like the most serial killers on truck drivers. Hey, maybe it is true or whatever, but that's not everyone in the trucking industry.
I thought all those people come from the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Real quick, before we go into a break here, real quick in 15, 20 seconds, what advice would you give to a young person or someone, not even young, someone just deciding to get involved or start in the trucking industry? What's the number one piece of advice? I mean, you can throw a couple of
Yeah,
pieces.
I mean, it depends on your situation, but hey, if you don't know what you want to do in your life and you're thinking about driving a truck and you just don't have any experience in life, and you can, maybe you're a single guy or gal and you can do it, I recommend go do it. Go see America, go talk to people, gain some life experience. and find it's okay. It's okay to not know what you want to do today, but you could find it if you just pass that county. Be a little fearless and go a little further and talk to some people. So I think that's the best advice is it's hey, if you're new at this, you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it to find out who you are a little bit more and find out what your interests are. And from there, find some passion. That's it, man. That's it.
The transportation industry is a lot has a lot of categories, and getting out there driving is one of the quickest way to learn all the different things that's involved, in that industry. It's not just trucking, it's transportation. I mean, you have logistics people, you have brokers, you have trucking companies, you have insurance, you have ah, fleet management. It's so many things and you can make a good living at it. It's a good industry and there's not too many jobs in this industry that doesn't pay well.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, if you're the best at what you do, you'll get paid well. But there's a lot of people, and hey, I don't want to be that old guy now saying, "Man, this young generation, they're lost. They don't know what they're doing." But I remember being lost and not know what I was doing, and getting out on the road and asking some questions. I started finding out real fast the things I enjoyed, the things I didn't enjoy, and just learning more a little bit about myself. I mean, the equation is simple. I think if you do more things that you enjoy versus things that you don't, you find yourself being a little bit more happy.
All right, we're gonna take a break on that. I think that's some great advice. And you guys stick around. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're gonna give a shout out to our sponsors. So thanks to all of them. Thanks to all of you guys. Couldn't do without you. We'll be right back.
Too many drivers are being hurt on the job. That's why the on-lift system by my friends over at Patriot Lift is a total game changer. It's 100% operated by air. You just hit a button and you're dropping or hooking your trailer in a matter of seconds. No more straining on that crank handle. No more injuries and no more missed work. Maybe you run a fleet of trucks, and so you're looking at potentially saving thousands of dollars on workman's comp and injury claims. Listen up. Right now, you can get your on-lift system by Patriot Lift for $900 off the regular price by using discount code TJ2025. Take care of your body and your rig and get yourself an on-lift by Patriot Lift. And hey, it's made right here in the good old USA. My good friend Jay and his team at Pride Truck Wash know that truck drivers are the heartbeat of America and its economy. At Pride Truck Wash, their mission is to help those hardworking people do their job in a clean truck. Stop in at a Pride Truck Wash and experience the difference. To learn more, visit pridetruckwash.com. You guys know that I've trusted House products for years, and so should you. For me, it's Diesel Treat for winter, Diesel Lifeline for emergencies, their Diesel Defender for warm weather, and House Multi-Purpose for just about everything else. Visit House products today. As truckers, we drive more miles than anyone else on the highway. As a result, we're at a higher risk of being involved in an accident. If you've been hurt in a wreck, let my good friends at Terry Law Firm help. They know trucks and how to handle truck wreck cases. Reach out to the Terry Law Firm on the web at terry-lawfirm.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Road Show with Tony Justice and Friends. I'm hanging out with my good buddy. You all probably know him by MotherTrucking News. Man, you do an awesome job, Alex. You work hard. You get a lot of information out there. I think, you're doing an awesome job as well of, putting the microphone back into the driver's hands and giving them a voice again in a lot of ways. I see Charles Gracie doing that also over on Sirius XM, the Road Dog Network. He's kind of took over that spot. A lot of his show is just the drivers calling in and getting things off their chest because we don't get a chance as a driver to express ourselves much, to express our opinions. We spend a lot of time just cooped up in the cabs of those trucks. People want to be heard. People want their opinions to be heard. Whether it's right or wrong, and your outlets. I feel like it's helping drivers to be able to do that. And I think that's really cool. And your knowledge of the industry, man. I mean, you're not just to me, you're not just your everyday truck driver IQ kind of guy. I'm not saying that bad about. I mean, you're just very intelligent, whether you know it or admit that or not. And I feel a little intimidated.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, you are. You are. You're a pretty smart guy. Every time I have a conversation with you, I'm a little intimidated, but that's good. That's a good thing. There was nothing wrong with that. But saying that and knowing that, in the next 10 years, how much do you see technology changing this industry? What facet of this industry which facets of the industry do you think it'll uh, affect the most, and what kind of changes?
And that's the thing, right? It's always this push and pull, right? Because the owner operators, the carriers, the drivers, we want to keep our jobs, while the tech and the VCs of the world, they want to replace our jobs, right? It seems to be that it seems to be man versus the machine sometimes, and you're looking at this and you're just like, is this the real world? Or are we in a movie here? You know, where's Arnold Schwarzenegger? You know, and it's happening now. You know, this is not a thing to be fearful of, but this is what they're doing. They're selling the snake oil to investors now. They got trucks now, you know, trucking companies now in Dallas to Houston, from San Antonio to Houston, driving with no truck driver inside it. You know what I mean? And it's just, you know, you think that you're going to be feared for it, but this is the way I really think about this. There's a conductor in a train, and the train's on a damn train track. You know how long they've had autopilot on a plane? They've had it forever. And so, just infrastructure wise and safety wise, I think we're safe. I do think that if you're getting into this industry now and you're feared for it, you better start educating yourself on having a specialized skill set in the trucking world where it cannot get replaced. You know, sometimes it sucks that the jobs that people don't want to do are the ones that are the harder ones to get replaced, right? Hey, moving furniture, it's not going to be in the next 10 years. You're going to see robots going up, taking up grand pianos and stuff like that. You know, that's just not going to happen. Hey, if you want it, all you want to do is you know, bump docks and get a lumper to do all your stuff, and that's all you want to do is just drive the truck and stop and not do nothing else. There are tech companies out there trying to gun for your job right now. But hey, if you're a heavy hauler, step deck, you know, you name it, chemical specialist mover. If something happens, you know, they're gonna have to clear 20 square miles type of a job. Then hey, you're gonna be a little bit more safe. So overall, I think in the next 10 years, even 20 years, self-driving trucks, things like that, we don't have the infrastructure for it. It's not going to happen. In we might see it at the end of our lifetime, but it's not going to happen. It's just not feasible. It's just more affordable right now. And in the past, they tried to do this, right? Even with the JB Hunts of the world, right? They try to put it on a train, right? And guess what? All these big train companies were like, no, you guys take your freight back. We can't do this. You know, there's always going to be loads out there where the customer is going to want it tomorrow, right? That's the problem, right? We always want, when we buy a product, we want it tomorrow. You know, if you put it on a train, or you get a self-driving truck to drive it somewhere and you got to wait, things like that, do you really want your product in 3 weeks? You know, you don't. My big advice from what I'm just seeing from the people I talk to is, this technology is already here. Is it going to be in our lifetime? I don't think so. If I have to put money on it, self-driving trucks, all the jazz, you know, they're pushing on it. It's like solar panels, right? It's something for them to make some money and then jump out of it, but it's just not going to be feasible in what we do. Now, I do recommend that you start putting a little bit more tools in your toolbox, really getting great at what you do. You know, don't be this person that just jumps around to too many things. You know, if you're a specialist running your truck in Wisconsin to Florida, and then to Texas, and you're doing this triangle and you're going back, and you know that lane better than anybody, you know, that's where you're going to win. You know, become masterful at what you're doing, right? That's the thing. Because everything in life still, I think you'd agree with this, Tony. People don't care about the business aspect as much as they care about the people aspect. People are willing to even spend a little bit more money if they like working with you as a relationship and a friendship.
Businesses are built on relationships. That's one thing that you can't teach AI or a robot or nothing else. It's not ever a relationship, you know, and so I think I'm like you. I think the industry's pretty safe for a while. You're going to have some subjects pop up, and you know, along the way. But yeah, I mean, we can't figure out how to we can't figure out how to build a bridge on the interstate and make a smooth transition from pavement to concrete yet. So much less to think about infrastructure for what it would take to have driverless trucks. We're so far from that. And then the other thing is just the volume of traffic is so. I'd like to know just exactly, how much it's increased since I started driving in 2000. But I remember it's crazy now, man. At 2, 3 in the morning, I mean, there's cars everywhere.
It's kind of interesting, in what we have going on now. You can put politics aside. If any administration is doing something great for truckers, I'll shout out. And right now it is true. It's making sure the roads are safe, making sure that the people that are driving the trucks in America know what they're doing, and doing more right things will bring back rates up. You know what I mean? That's just the truth. When you're cutting corners, you're not paying your bills, you're not paying your taxes, you're putting duct tape on your truck just to keep your bumper on, you're taping on MC numbers. At the end of the day, if you're not playing with the rules and the guidelines, yeah, you can make money at $1.25 a mile. You know what I mean? That makes sense to a person like that. But when you have good equipment, you care about your people, you're paying them right, benefits, health benefits, all that, you're making sure your people are taken care of. This is business. You have to be able to make a profit, right? And that's the problem is the FMCSA and USDOT all along. It's almost like they rather pull over a truck that looks nice because they know it's going to be an easy day for them versus a headache and pulling over someone else that they know they're going to have to spend time with all day long, right? So that's the problem is a guy in a beautiful W900 is competing for the same load and rate as a guy with a bumper missing, with mirrors missing, with Chinese tires that are capped on his steers, like you know what I mean, just doing everything at bare minimum, And so as the government raises the bar, it's going to raise the bar for everybody. This is the thing I say, and some people agree with it, some people don't, but I think the shipper needs to be more accountable. I talked to a lot of good friends of mine, right? If you and I own Tony's and Alex's restaurant and bar, a minor comes in there and drinks some alcohol and then drives away and crashes. Well, guess what? Tony and Alex's restaurant and bar is probably going to go out of business pretty quick. So if at the shipper you see a guy that can't speak a lick of English, doesn't know what he's doing, can't back up to a dock, or and looks half drunk. Hey, if that shipper is accountable for that guy, guess what's going to happen? He's got to look at that guy and say, "Hey, man, we can't put our product on your truck. We need a professional driver."
Yeah, and actually pay what they could afford to pay in the first place to get someone responsible to haul the freight. I mean, it's simple. This is really simple.
It is, man. It is. But no, I appreciate you, brother. I mean, that's what's so cool. I don't get a chance to do this where I just jump on a podcast and talk to a friend. But this has been wonderful, brother. I appreciate what you're doing. And when you were telling me that you wanted to have a show and do your thing and have your friends on it, and then here we are today, and you've made it happen.
Yeah, it's happening, man, believe it or not. So, yeah, it's fun, and I'm actually enjoying it more than I thought I would. I mean, it's something I kinda wanna do, and I was kinda really, to be honest with you, looking at it as, extra revenue for my business. I'm in the music business, and it's not the most lucrative. I mean, you have to be creative and find different ways to make money at it to keep funding it, you know what I'm saying? And man, I'm really enjoying the time I'm getting to spend with people and getting know people even better than what I did before. So that's fun, and I appreciate your advice, helping out. So, but before we go, tell people where do they find Mother Trucker at? Where's your merchandise line at?
Yeah, fun facts, right? So Mother Trucker News, find it on all social medias, and you can watch it. You can love me, you can hate me, but I appreciate you for watching. Second with that is me and my partner, we own Big Rig Tees. And so we're in hundreds of travel centers, and we're appreciative of that. And we thank you for that. And just thank you to just all the drivers out there. I like to coin some terms myself, and I think it's so cool that you have a platform and I have a platform, and it's geared towards that 1% of America that moves 100% of America, right? I mean, how great is that? If your day is bad, it will get better. there is nobody more crazy than a truck driver trying to live the truck driver lifestyle. And so if you could do this, you could do anything. You know, I don't want to say it's a personality trait or perception, but the fact that we're here today and we're able to complain about things. The big problem is when you only have one problem. And I know you know a little bit about that as far as going through your own life struggles and things. But I think about that sometimes is we sure do complain about a lot of things. But when that doctor tells you you got one problem and a couple months left to live,
All those other things don't matter.
all those things do not matter. So for all the drivers that are listening to today's podcast, if you got a lot of things to complain about, consider yourself lucky.
Absolutely, guys. Hey, listen, Alex, thank you so much for your time. We definitely got to get together and go do a little red fishing down there in Houston.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That
Let's do
that
it,
would
man.
be that'd be a blast. Everybody out there tuning in, guys, for the bottom of our hearts, we truly appreciate what you're doing out there to keep America rolling. We know how hard it is because we've been there, we've done that, and so our gratitude for you all is genuine, and we appreciate everything that you do. Don't ever think you're not appreciated because we appreciate you here on the Road Show with Tony Justice and Friends. We appreciate you tuning in. So till next time, guys, God bless. Alex, thank you. As always, everybody speak safely.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like today's show, then do me a big favor. Mash the share button, be sure to subscribe, and leave us a review. Also, be sure to follow us on social media for more updates and behind-the-scenes content. Until next time, God bless, and as always, speed safe.